Australia, January 1978. It's hot and sticky. Living in a floating hospital, your closest friends are your plants. That is until an aspiring young journalist approaches you for your story. Wayward Strand is a wholesome narrative adventure game where your biggest story is the characters themselves. In Wayward Strand, you don't go on some big adventure across lands to change the world. Instead, you change the world of the characters you meet during their final days. You play as Casey, the daughter of the head nurse who during her school holidays has to spend 3 days at her mother's work with her, helping the patients and nurses around the hospital. Did I mention that this hospital is floating in the sky? As Casey, you enter a living world, where things happen around you and you get to choose the relationships that you want to build. Wandering around the hospital all day with a small fob watch in the corner to tell you the time, you can choose to visit many different eclectic characters. All the characters move around the ship, going about their day, from having lunch with each other to gossiping about new visitors to the hospital. Some even make you feel a little awkward when you're eavesdropping by pulling attention to you as they exit the room. All of your interactions are kept in Casey's notebook that she carries with her every day. She has sections dedicated to each of the characters she comes in contact with, or in the case of Mr. Falk, hears about, where she jots down notes and drawings about her conversations. Sometimes the characters even mention her writing things as she scribbles during the conversation. The thing I loved most about this game was the depth of the characters. Each had their own quirks and qualities that you learn about throughout the game. From the lovable grandmother figure Ida, who keeps non-verbal Tommy company during her lunch, to the gossipy Esther, who believes in mystical powers and ghosts to help her find out information. Even characters as challenging as Dr. Bouchard and her bitter nature had me feeling for her at the end of the game. The game even contains a mystery of why Nurse Joni quit suddenly. Strangely though, no one can seem to tell me why. My money is on Joe and Joni and a relationship gone wrong. The mother and daughter relationship between Casey and her mother Ruth was very relatable to the era that the game was set in. So many times I just wanted Mum to hear me when I told her about my day, but she was always too busy or too angry to want to listen. It really made me think about how my conversations are with my own daughters. I loved the character of Ted and how the game had the Aboriginal culture woven into the game without it being too tokenistic. Ted would use his comic books to teach us about the point of view of many Aboriginal families during the time that the English arrived in Australia. I really liked the touch of naming the evil character in the comic after the white name for the town. I also loved that they used Casey's interest over the flag in Ted's break room to allow Ted to teach some people who were unaware about the Aboriginal flag. While it was set on a timer and you had limited time to talk to people, I wish there was a way to skip time somehow. Albeit, I understand the importance of having it go into real time. However, towards the end, I was running around trying to find things to waste my time as I was waiting for things to happen and spoken to most of the people, or they were asleep for the morning. Overall, the stories of Wayward Strand are going to stay with me for a very long time. I loved the writing and I loved the music in it. They accompanied each other perfectly. I have to lower my score a little bit though due to the large amount of glitches and bugs found throughout the game that really ruined the absorption into it. Regardless of these bugs though, this game is definitely something you should check out. You play as Casey, a 14-year-old girl on holidays in 1978. Having to accompany your mother, the head nurse of a floating hospital, to work, you decide to collect information to create a story for your school's newspaper about the floating ship. There are a lot of glitches within the gameplay that really broke the immersion into the game. Given some of the more serious nature of some of the topics within the game, such as the world wars and death and serious illness and the Aboriginal culture history, it was rather distracting to watch someone hold a piece of paper and have it float ahead of them, or to have them hold a box in front of them only to have the box stay in place while they turned around to talk to you and then turn back. The music was lovely. It was extremely relaxing and so relative to the calm feel that was the floating ship. Occasionally the music would change when Mr. Pruis decided he wanted to listen to some music on the gramophone, but overall the music was beautiful, so relaxing and enjoyable. The game is super simple to play. All you use is your mouse. However, if clicking arrows seems a bit tedious to you, you can use the WASD keys to move Casey around and pick answers by clicking in the direction of the answer. The stories intertwined together were amazing. I loved getting to know all the different characters and their stories, learning about their illnesses and their families. I only got a few achievements during my gameplay, so there is quite a few more I need to go back and do to get my 100% achievements. But given that it all happens in real time, there are still so many stories that I could find if I decided to go back and focus on a different character instead. I give it 3.5 out of 5 hows.